Class number 8, we will delve into the Kemetic months and names. This class will delve into the Kemetic calendar system, specifically, no, I'm sorry, specifically, I've always had problems with that word, specifically exploring the names and meanings of its months. Then we break down each month, offering insight into its etymology and cultural significance, such as the first month in the Kemetic calendar is called Teki. This relates to liquid offerings. The third month in the Kemetic tradition is called Heteru. This comes in March, springtime, which is when the plants and animals are getting together to have some love and some beauty for themselves and to procreate. We will draw connections to related cultural aspects like the Dogon people's knowledge of Kemetic, as you know it as Sirius, and the Yoruba's potential ancestral links to ancient Kemet. Finally, we will examine the Senmut. That's the name of a person. Senmut was the astrologer to Hatshepsut. In his mortuary temple, on the ceiling, he carved in what today is called an astronomical chart. This is the source of where we get the Kemetic month names and showcase the Kemetic understanding of the cosmos. So we will share with you the African names, the Kemetic names, because not all Africans have the same name for the month. Okay, so we will be coming from the Kemetic names of the month. Class 9, we will then get into, this is what the sister was asking about, is we'll may go over some of it in class 7, but class 9, we will go over the 12 Seba'u. What does that mean, right? This class explores the Kemetic constellations known as Seba'u, and their cultural significance, meaning that we did not use the word constellations. Constellations came much later in BC AD time. The word con means to bring together, and stellar means stars. So the word only means a group of stars. The word constellation means a group of stars. It can be any group of stars, according to your particular cultural significance. This is why if you study the Native American astrology, you won't see the same pictures. If you go to Chinese astrology, you're not going to see the same pictures because they projected into the constellations what their cultural reference was for those constellations according to the time of year. For instance, the full moon in Scorpio, which we call Scorpio, right? Our Kemetic ancestors called this constellation Serket, Serqet, Serket. Okay. This full moon in Scorpio comes in May. This is not the solar cycle, this is the lunar cycle, because we will go back to the lunar cycle, which is the original calendar system to show you where the names of the constellations or the Sebau, which, right, come from. So in May, in parts of Kemet, the sandstorms would be approaching. When the sandstorms are approaching in May, many scorpions start running and hiding. So our ancestors projected up into the stars that this is the month of the scorpions. Be careful. It has nothing to do with the stars being Scorpio. We will go into each and every one of those. Now, there's also a significant energy for that time of month that you can harness, imbibe into your spirit so that you become whole again. And if you miss it one year, you got the next year's cycle, because instead of us looking at the calendar as linear, we're going to look at it as a circle. So we know the word Seba means star. That's what it translates into in our language today. The word Seba, it also is the word that Sister Ikedi used to describe me, because in Kemet, teachers were called Seba, because we taught what? We taught about the stars and the cycles, and we related to everything on the planet. Dogs, cats, horses, plants, um, situations, right? All stems from understanding your astronomical observations. So the teachers were called Seba, and the students were called Sebayit, the student of the Seba. So when we put many stars together, it's called Sebau, Seba with the U at the end. We will go into showing you that the U in the Kemetic tradition means many, just like the S in English means many. We can say, give me a book, or could you move those books over there? It doesn't tell you how many books. It just says that there's more than one book. It could be 2 books. It can be 100 books. So the word Sebau means a cluster of stars. We'll delve into how the Kemetic people identified and tracked these stars, particularly in relation to the moon, using methods such as observing the Sebau, that's the stars, during the full moon, and determining the direction with the tools like the sun stick. And in Kemet, we call this ceremony Tej Shesh, or in English, it translates as the stretch cord. We would use that cord to align temples up to different stars. We would use that technique to align the temple up to the winter solstice. Some temples are aligned to the summer solstice, meaning that when the sun rises on this particular day, the sun will shine all the way down through this temple from the front all the way to the back, only on these particular days, so that those who are in charge of that temple know what time it is. So what we charted was, where is the full moon at a particular time of the year? Then we would look at the constellations that were behind the moon. We picked out a few, and then we created astronomical story behind the constellations, which in essence actually told you what you can do for that particular cycle in that particular month. This is, again, this is not a solar calendar. You probably don't know the difference, but we'll go into showing you that. We will show you how to use a stick and a rock and the sun's shadow on the stick to determine north, east, south, and west. Just with a stick and a rock. Once you got that, then you can come with your big megalithic stones, because now you know where to put the stone at in order to know the cardinal directions. When is the solstice? Because the solstice, equinox, there's two solstices. That's the duality. There's two equinoxes. Altogether, there are 4 cardinal points. So that at any given time, if you lose track of what time it is, all you have to do is wait until the sun would hit a certain rock or stick, and you would know, oh, it's springtime. So that you can readjust your time, because not everybody had a stopwatch. Not everybody had a wristwatch. These are modern inventions, but everybody needed to eat. So they needed to know when was the best time to plant their seeds in order to get a crop in order to eat. All of what I'm sharing with you means nothing if you're starving. You probably won't even want to come to class. The most important thing on your mind is like, I need some food in my stomach. Okay. And we will then connect the specific Sebaru to the zodiacal constellations and the deities, revealing symbolic interpretations of their energies and their attributes. So, for instance, you know one constellation as Cancer. We called it Kepler. Another constellation you call Leo. Leo is not the ancient name for it, and it is not ruled by the lion. It is ruled by a woman that tames the lion's energy. That comes at a certain time of the year. We'll delve into all of that. You have the constellation that you know as Libra. All of these names on the bottom are Greek names. The word, right? So Libra actually means a book. This is where we get the word library from. But we call the constellation Ma'at. That comes in April, the full moon in April. Many people are also using a similar system, but they're using the solar calendar, and they do their ceremonies at different times, but it's not in sync with the lunar calendar. And you have Heteru, which the Greeks called Virgo. In the constellation, the Heteru, the Greeks called her Aphrodite. Aphrodite. The Romans called her Venus. And the word Venus, the idea of Venus came before it was given to the planet, which we call Venus today. This class also describes the five additional days at the end of the year, meaning that in Kemet, we had 12 months. This is before the Romans, Greeks, and any of them. We had 12 months with 30 days per month. That comes out to 360 days. There's 5 days over. We gave them specific names, and they happen to fall on the winter solstice. So in our cosmology, that's the study of the order of things, there is a Neteru called Nut, a female, and one called Geb. Geb is her husband. They get together and create 5 children. The 5 children is called Osar. You may know it as Osiris. Then we have Oset. That's the next child. You may know her as Isis. Then we have Set, which is where we get the word Satan from. Nebhet and Heru. These are the 5 children. We will break down each one of these principles and give you deeper understanding as to what we mean when we talk about these particular Neteru. The 4 goddesses of heaven. This class explores the roles and symbolic meaning of the 4 ancient Kemetic Neteru, or Set, Nebhet, Neith, and Serket, as well as the 4 children of Heru. Amseti, Hapi, Queba Senuf, and Dwamutef. We will delve into their metaphorical representations related to life, creation, protection, wisdom, and balance, drawing connections between these deities and practical aspects such as familiar roles as provider, nurturer, the internal organs, how each one of these will relate to a different organ, and the natural elements such as breathing, or as is called in Kemet, the winds. Each deity and child of Heru is discussed with respect to their specific qualities and associated metaphorical meanings, providing insights into personal growth, problem solving, emotional well-being, and integrating different aspects of oneself for wholeness. This class aims to illuminate how these ancient figures can provide guidance and understanding in navigating various aspects of modern life. Class 11, the 4 children of Heru. You call him Horus. Some people call him Horus. This class examines the significance of the 4 sons of Heru, their association with the cardinal directions, and their protective roles in our everyday life. Amseti is one. Hapi is another one. Peba Senuf is another one. And Dwa Mutef is another one. Class 12, we will go into one of my favorite subjects, being an artist, the power of colors. This class will explore the psychology of colors in the context of ancient Kemetic culture. Color psychology is a study of how colors affect how people think and behave. Some of us, because we've gotten into Western Greek astrology, we're thinking that, oh, I'm a Taurian, I'm a Libra. when in actuality, your environment has more effect upon you than any stars that are millions and millions of miles away from the Earth. Oh, and just to let you know, the light that we see from these stars, most of them are millions of years old. So I'll let you think on that. And we will delve into how these colors are used in marketing and branding and even in interior design. This class delves into the attributes and role of figures like Osset, the mother, Nebhet, the provider of the house. Heru is where we get the word hero from. So anytime you hear the word hero, just remember that that's an anglicized way of talking about our ancestral culture. Ma'at represents truth and justice. Serket, the scorpion. Set, destruction. Anpu, the gatekeeper. And Jehuti. Now, some people spell this Tehuti, others spell it with DJ. Either way, it's tomatoes or tomatoes. And Osar, which represents the ancestors. And Sekhmet, elucidating their significance in Kemetic cosmology and daily life. Bingo. Ma'at, Serket, Set, Enpu, Tehuti, and Osar. Furthermore, we'll examine how these deities represent concepts such as creation, protection, balance, knowledge, and transformation, offering insight into the values and beliefs of this ancient civilization. Oh, so this is why I've called my website Know Thyself, because we need to know thyself, not during Black History Month, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Focus on your, your own spiritual growth. We don't need to know or care about what's happening in other countries. Help thy brother first in your own neighborhood before you start thinking about other countries or even other states. There's somebody that may be living next to you, next door to you, that might be interested, but they don't even know you exist as far as knowing this type of information. So we, as the sister asked, we will delve into the Kundalini force, the chakra force, right? We will go over the Neteru. This one is Enpu. That's the gatekeeper. This one is called Heru. That's the warrior that fights for your freedom. Here is Kanum. This is the maker of man's bodies. Here we have Sebek at the crossroads. It's the crocodile. And here we have Taweret. This is the principle of motherhood. Sekhmet, that's the fighter for justice. And Wajet, That's the serpent power. And Baset, that's the energy that comes into your cats that you have. And what's this one? This one can stop. Yeah. So, are there any questions? Now you can ask